Welcome back. In this section, we're going to build out the blog section of our website, including this great blog page showcasing all of our different posts. Now, blogging is a big part of WordPress, and there's enough in this one topic to fill an entire course just about blogging. So this section will by no means be a masterclass of any sort, but will definitely teach you all you need to know about getting a great blog up and running. We'll be learning about how to create new blog posts that include pictures, videos, and more, as well as building a custom blog page and understanding how WordPress manages the display of our posts using categories, tags, and auto-generated pages. This is going to be a long section, but a great one, so hang in there, and by the end, you'll have your very first blog set up and ready to go. Let's jump in. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to create our very first blog post and learn how to use the WordPress blog editor to lay out our post with pictures, texts, and more. Let's get started. Creating a new blog post is just like creating a new page in WordPress, except it's done under the Posts section instead of the Pages section. So to create our first post, let's go over here to Posts, and then click Add New. This will open the WordPress blog editor. Before we keep going, I've included some sample blog material in the Resources folder of this section, so if you'd like to follow along with that, be sure to have it downloaded and opened up. But of course, if you're customizing this site as we go along, feel free to create your own post. Another important note as we get started, because of the nature of blog posts in WordPress, we won't be using the Elementor page builder to create them, but instead the built-in WordPress editor. Posts in WordPress are best implemented and managed when they follow a pre-configured basic structure that allows WordPress to handle the organization and display of our posts. I'm sure you've seen on plenty of blogs, all of the posts are generally laid out the same way. This provides some great consistency and also enables WordPress to do its job efficiently and effectively. Now this doesn't mean all blog posts need to look the same, as you'll see in a bit, but it does mean that we'll be using the standard WordPress framework to create them. Alright, let's get started with our blog post. We'll first type in a title here at the top. We'll call this one, The Only 4 Exercises You Need to Know. In a similar way to Elementor, the Gutenberg editor is based around laying out your blog post in different sections or blocks. To get started and add a block, just click this plus sign here. This will bring up a short list of available blocks. Let's click Paragraph. Now I have some content that I have in the resources, and I'll paste it here. And there's our first block. Let's add another block, maybe an image this time. Another way to add a block is to click the plus sign up in the left corner. This opens up a much bigger list of blocks contained in WordPress. WordPress contains an enormous number of blocks, everything from images and videos like YouTube and Vimeo to social media embeds and other things. To insert an image, let's click Image. Once you click a block, it automatically adds it to the end of your blog post. Let's head over to the Media Library to upload some photos. We'll go to Upload Files. In the same Resources folder, I have 5 different images that start with the name Blog Post 1. Let's go ahead and drag all of those over here. For this first image, we'll click this one, labeled Blog Post 1, Image 1. We'll hit Select to put it in our blog post, and there it is. Now instead of a square image, we'd like this to look a little more widescreen. So let's go over here to the right and we'll see the edit panel for the blocks. For this image block, we can come down to image size and click full size. There we go, that looks better. Let's add another block here. And this time, let's add a heading. Now with this heading, we can change the style of it, H1, H2, we can change the alignment of it, and adjust the text in a couple different ways. Let's leave it as is and say that the first exercise we need to know is a push-up. Now we'll add another paragraph to this by clicking the plus sign and clicking Paragraph. Now I didn't write an entire blog post for this, and sometimes when you're designing, you need to find some content to just fill a page before you have your final text. To do this, let's open a new tab and type in lorem ipsum.io. Now lorem ipsum is the name for generic placeholder text that's used in a lot of designs, both print and digital. So we can come down here and select how much text we'd like to get. For this, we'll just need one paragraph. We'll hit generate, and here's our paragraph. We can hit copy, go back over to our post, and paste it in. Looking great. Let's add one more block here. This block doesn't have any content. It's called a spacer. We'll click that, and now we can add some blank space to our blog post. Let's shrink this down by dragging this bottom bar, and we'll just add 25 pixels of blank space at the bottom. Now, this blog post is called The Only 4 Exercises You Need to Know. So, I'm assuming there's 3 more exercises to add. An easy way to do that would be to duplicate all this content. But instead of going one by one, let's go up here to this pencil and click Select. Now, we can hold down Shift and click our image, our heading, our paragraph, and our spacer. Then we'll come up here to Image, click this, and then we'll see a little double square icon here. If we click on this, it will allow us to transform this selection into a group. So let's click that. And there's our group. Looks great. Now we can click these 3 dots and click Duplicate. Let's do it 2 more times. And now we've quickly laid out our blog post. Before we continue, let's swap out these photos and the titles. Let's quickly move through and change the text. On this one, we'll say number 2 is a sit-up. Number 3, a pull-up. And number 4, a squat. Now, let's change these images out real quick. To adjust an element on the blog post, we just click it, and then up here, look at our options. This one says Replace. Let's open the media library and pick a new one. So let's pick this one for squat. Reach size it to full size. And then do the last 2. All right, this is looking pretty great. Now before we publish our blog post, let's go over to the Document tab here and make a couple other changes. First, we're going to want to add this blog post into categories. A category is one way that WordPress organizes our blog posts. Let's add a new category here and call it Exercise. Let's add another new category and we'll call this one Featured. Now, we can add and subtract categories by clicking these checkboxes. We'll leave those both checked, and then we'll scroll down. We can also add tags to our blog posts. These are descriptors that we can also use to allow visitors to search our blog posts or to better identify what is contained in each post. We'll add a couple tags here. Exercises, health, and maybe body weight exercises. These can be as simple or complex as we want them to be. Finally, let's set a featured image for this blog post. We'll do that by clicking here and using this first image. This is the image that will be used in a listing of the blog posts. We can also change the excerpt or some of our comment settings, but we'll leave it as is for now. All right. This looks great. Let's click Publish and Publish again, and we've uploaded our blog post. Let's click View Post to take a look. And here's our blog post. Looks pretty great. If you noticed here on the side, we have this sidebar that contains a few little blocks of additional information. In WordPress, these are called widgets. It's another built-in organizational tool. Just like in Elementor, widgets are small building blocks that show different content in different places. Before Elementor was even a thing, and there were no other page builders, widgets were the only way to adjust the layout of a WordPress site. And they're still used today. Different sites and themes use them differently, and with the power of Elementor, we won't be using them much on this site. But I do want to show you how they work, and we'll demonstrate with this sidebar right here, which is automatically generated by WordPress for our single blog posts. To access our widgets, let's go back to the dashboard. We'll come down here to Appearance, and then Widgets. Here we see a list of widgets contained in WordPress, as well as a list of widget areas that are specific to this theme. Some themes have more widget areas than others, but these are the different parts of the website where we can use widgets to add content. So if we remember on our blog post, we had a calendar widget on that side, as well as a few other things. Right here's one that's called Blog Primary Widget Area. Let's click that. Yeah, there it is. So to remove a widget, we'll open it up, and you can see the configuration options inside, and we'll click Delete. Let's do it again with the calendar, and again with the meta widget. Now let's add a few of our own. Let's add one called Categories, and we'll type in a title, Categories. We'll click Save there, and let's see what else is here. Let's drag one called Recent Posts Widgets in as well. We'll call this one Recent Articles, and we'll have it show 4. We don't need to display the image or the excerpt, but we will display the date. Let's click Save. Now there was also a search widget in there, and that's up here in this theme in the primary widget area. Again, different themes have different widget areas, and if you're using a different theme, you'll just have to experiment to see which areas put widgets in which places. Let's go back to our posts, and let's view this post again. And there we go, we've customized our sidebar. As we get ready to build out the rest of our blog, I'd suggest creating at least 3 more posts in multiple categories so you can really see how this looks on the site and make sure that as your site grows, everything works perfectly. I've included several more blog posts and featured images in the resources folder. Take a look at those, upload a few more, and it'll really help us as we design the full blog page. Alright, well I know this was a long video, but thanks for hanging in there, and I hope you're excited about your new ability to create blog posts and share your ideas and thoughts with the world. I know we didn't cover every single detail of the blog, so if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask in the Q&A or just spend some time experimenting with the different features in WordPress. In the next video, we're going to continue exploring how WordPress and our theme organize blog posts and set some global default settings to make sure everything looks great. So take a break if you need one, and join me back here real soon. Welcome back. Now that we have some blog posts loaded up, we're going to make sure our site is set up to display everything correctly, and we're going to set some global site settings to ensure that our blog posts look great across our entire site. As we mentioned before, one of the things that makes WordPress so powerful is its ability to organize our content and display it in a variety of formats and places, including on auto-generated pages. As an example, imagine a visitor coming and reading an article in the exercise category. In WordPress, they can simply click that category and WordPress will show them an auto-generated page with all of the articles with the category exercise. The same is true of tags, dates, and more. Now, the only thing that makes this a little complicated is that we don't always get to custom design every single one of these pages. But just like our posts, what we can do is work with the options available to us to make sure the design of these pages matches the rest of our site. Most of the time, these settings are contained within our theme. Elementor Pro does offer the ability to custom design many of these, so if you're building a site that's primarily blog-centered, you may find that a worthwhile investment. Let's jump in and start configuring our site. So by default, WordPress needs a page to designate as the Posts page of our site. We'll be designing a custom page in the next video, but in order for things to work best, as you'll see in a minute, we'll create a simple page called Posts and publish it. To do that, let's go over to Pages, click Add New, and we'll just call this page Posts. And that's it. We'll hit Publish, and Publish again. Let's go back to our pages, and let's go ahead and create a home page as well. You'll see why in a minute. We'll hit Publish, and publish again. We'll go back. Great. Now, let's head over to the reading settings and I'll explain some more about this configuration. So we'll go to Settings, Reading, and here at the top, you'll see an option that says Your Home Page Displays. When WordPress was originally released, it was a blogging platform. As you may remember from our initial installation and the 2020 theme, the default home page of a WordPress site is a list of blog posts. Over time, WordPress evolved to include another kind of post, called a page, and people began using it to build not only blog sites, but all kinds of sites, including the kind we're building here in this course. To tell WordPress what kind of site we have, and to control how our posts are displayed, we'll configure our homepage settings here. So instead of our homepage displaying our latest posts, let's change it to a static page. Now here, for our homepage, we'll select the homepage we just created, and for our posts page, the posts page. Now, not too many visitors will find their way to the posts page, but again, this helps WordPress distinguish between the blog end of our site and the front-facing pages of our site. Let's save these changes. To do that, first we're going to go back to one of our posts and open it up. Let's go to the one we created in the last video. The only 4 exercises you need to know. Let's hover over it and click this View button. Now, to access the Phlox Theme Customization menu, which we used to find in the WordPress dashboard, we can also access it by clicking here. This allows us to see the page while we customize the theme. So as you can see here, we're going to go down to Blog and start editing the single post view, which is the view we see on the right. Here you have different options for layout that you can pick from, different sidebar options, and I think what we have is pretty great. We will change this single post featured color just to bring it in line with more of the theme colors we've been using. So we'll use hashtag 444444 and click Apply. Now here we'll see that in our blog, it says who wrote the blog, and it's our login name. Let's go ahead and turn that off by toggling this Display Post Author off. And there it goes. Now let's also delete the number of comments, since we don't need that in the subheading there. Down here at the bottom, we can configure how people share our blog post. Here's a little share icon. Some people might not know what that is, so let's actually take this and change it to text. We'll leave Display Next and Previous Posts on, so when somebody's looking at a single blog post, they have easy access to the next post. And that's it. Let's click Publish up here, scroll back up to the top, and go back one level in the menus. Now let's go down to Single Post Title, scroll back up on our blog, and I think we should center this title. So let's go ahead and just change this title alignment to Centered. And click Publish, and go back. Now we'll close out of here and go back to the WordPress dashboard. We'll go to Pages and view our Posts page. Let's click Customize again to work on this page with the Phlox theme settings. So now that this is loaded, we'll go to Blog, click Blog Page, and now let's pick a different view for this page. Let's try this one right here. That looks better. Now the only other thing we'll change here is to go down to the very bottom and change the content length from full text to summary. We'll change the summary length to 250. That looks a little better. Let's hit Publish, scroll back up to the top, and go back. Now let's click the Rest category here. So here's our category post. Let's go ahead and change this page, blog category and tag. We'll go ahead and change this to the same layout. And let's turn the post author off here as well. We'll hit publish, close out of here, and go back to the WordPress dashboard. All right, that's it. Thanks for hanging in there as we navigated through those menus. I know that might have been a bit confusing. Don't hesitate to hang back and keep looking through them if you'd like to make further changes. Now let's move on to the next video and get our custom blog page up and running. See you then. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to get back to designing our website in Elementor and work on creating our custom blog page featuring two great and different layouts to feature our posts. Let's get started. We already created our page in the last video, so let's head over to Pages, Blog, and click Edit. Here we'll click Edit with Elementor to launch the Elementor Page Builder. Now, we'll do the same thing here we did on the contact page. We'll start off by clicking this folder, clicking My Templates, and inserting our page banner. Click Yes, and there's our banner. Now right away, we can change this text here to blog. Now we'll click the section settings up here, head over to Style, and import a new background image. So let's head over to Upload Files, and I have it opened up in the Resources folder, so I'll just drag it in. This file's called blogheader.jpg. Insert Media, and there we go. Looks great. Now to get started with our first blog section, let's import the two-column section we've used before. All right, and here's a great start. Now we'll get rid of this right column by clicking on the column icon and hitting Delete. We'll change this top header to say Featured Articles. We'll leave our divider and then right-click here to erase the text. Okay, let's import a new widget. Click the grid icon up here, and let's see what widgets exist for posts. So we can use the search bar and type Posts. And here's some different post options we have. These with the WordPress icon are built in, and then the other ones are indicated by this little box in the corner. For this one, we'll try this grid and carousel posts that comes with the Flocks theme. We'll click it and drag it into that top section. Okay, cool. Let's see what we can do to adjust here and make this a little cleaner. Let's start over here in the Layout column. We'll leave it at 4. Let's change the display items to carousel. And maybe a little more space in between the items. So we'll change this to 50. And let's change our navigation control to arrows. Again, these are all just based on taste, so feel free to change them however you'd like. Let's see what's under display. Here we go. This will control some of the information for each blog post that's shown. Let's go down here and turn display categories off. Display author off. Try to clean this up a little bit. And we can take the comments and the likes and maybe even the excerpt off. Yeah, that's pretty great. Nice and clean. Let's scroll back up to the top and click on the next column, Content. Here's where we can set which blog posts are shown in this widget. Let's change the categories to just show the blog posts we've tagged Featured. And we'll change this to 4. Great. Head on over to the Style tab, and let's change our image aspect ratio to 16:9. That looks great. Now before we leave here, I noticed there's a little extra margin on this side, or padding. Let's see which one. We'll click on our column, Edit Column, and go over to Advanced here. Yep, sure enough, 75 pixels of right padding. Let's go ahead and just clear that out. And now that'll fill the full width of this column. To create our second widget to display our blog posts, let's duplicate this section. we'll come up here, right-click, and hit Duplicate. Let's change the title of this one to say All Articles. We'll delete this Grid and Carousel Posts widget, and head back over here to all of our widgets and see what else we can find. Let's search for Posts again. Let's try this Land Style Posts. That looks pretty cool. Let's head over to the layout and clean this up a bit too. We'll take the author away and the number of comments. We'll turn the like button off and we'll change the excerpt length to 500 to fill up the space a little better. Under the content column, let's change this to display all the categories except featured. Exercise, motivation, nutrition, and rest. Click paginate, and we'll choose this second option. We'll see what that does in a little bit. Let's head up to the style column and change this image aspect ratio to 16:9. That looks pretty good. So now we have an awesome blog page set up with a section for our featured posts, as well as a modern infinite scrolling section for our blog posts. We've got one more video in this section, and in it, we'll double check our responsive settings for the blog page before moving on to a new page of our site. See you then. Welcome back. In this video, we'll make a few final adjustments to our blog page to make sure it looks great on all screen sizes, and also learn how to preview our site on different devices right in the browser. Let's get started. So here we are on the blog page, and since we imported these sections from other pages that we've already responsively designed, the only two things we'll need to check are the two blog widgets we added. Let's get started here with the Featured Articles section. We'll hover over this widget, right-click on the Edit icon, and click Edit Grid and Carousel Posts. Now let's go over here to the responsive mode and change it to Tablet. Now this looks all right, but it seems a little cramped. So let's go up here to the Layout panel and change the number of columns on Tablet to 2. Now you'll notice that this doesn't reflect in the preview window, and we'll address that in a minute. But first, let's change to Mobile View and see what things look like there. Again, it's hard to tell, but we definitely know we don't want 4 columns. Right here it says that it's inheriting from larger, which means 2. Let's actually change this to 1 on mobile and see how that looks. Now let's zoom back out to the desktop and take a quick look at our other widget before we address that display problem. So here in the All Articles section, we'll right-click, click on Edit Land Style Posts, and then switch to Tablet mode. Alright, well that doesn't look so bad. Let's keep that as is and change to mobile mode. That looks pretty great as well, so I guess we can keep that one as is. Let's switch back to desktop mode and take a look at the display problem we were having. So another way that you can preview what your site looks like is to use some tools built right into Google Chrome or your web browser. Let's go down here and update our page. And then click the preview icon next to it. So in Google Chrome, which we're using here, and I recommend you use for this, we'll right-click right in the page and click Inspect. This will bring up the Google Developer Tools. Now we can ignore all the code over here. The button we're looking for is right up here, and it allows us to toggle the browser into an actual device. So let's click it and see what happens. So here, it changed into responsive mode. We can click over here and change the window we're seeing to mimic a different device. So let's just click iPhone X. That looks pretty great. And you can see that it fixed our viewing problem. Let's go up here and click iPad. Great, there's the 2 columns we specified. This is a really great tool and very powerful when you want to preview your site. It's not perfect, but it'll give you a great idea of what your site will look like on all different devices. You can even rotate the devices, add new devices by editing them, or just go into a responsive view mode and stretch the page however you'd like to see how it changes on different sizes. And that's it. Congratulations on making it through another long but great section. We covered a lot of content, so don't hesitate to go back and rewatch some of the videos to review or ask questions in the Q&A. Again, we didn't cover everything that WordPress can do with blogs, as that would be an entire course of its own. But hopefully, you feel like you have a great foundation and can create a beautiful looking blog all on your own. In the next video, we're going to get back into the Elementor page builder and learn about some more great widgets and advanced layout skills as we create our services page for Move, Rest, Repeat. See you then.